This is Steve Zelser with WorkWeek in Pacifica. And this week, we have found out that the IBT International President, Sean O'Brien, has invited Donald Trump, ex-president, to come to the Teamsters Union office for a discussion about whether the Teamsters should support him. And this is after a secret meeting that he had at Mar-a-Lago, where Sean O'Brien went down to Mar-a-Lago, met secretly with Donald Trump. He's now meeting, and there's been a backlash among Teamsters around the country, including John Palmer, International Vice President, and others, about why the Teamsters are having him at their International Union office. So welcome, Chris Silvera of Teamster Local 808. So what's your reaction to this whole thing? It seems like it's escalating further and further and creating a lot of divisions inside the Teamsters Union.
Well, I think it's a mistake. And the fact that we have people, we're not dealing with the Republican Party anymore. And I think people should be very clear about this, that this is either the Trumplicans, if they want to call them that, or they're Confederates, which means that they're no longer a part of what we understand America to be. And so to have this meeting, didn't have any other secret meetings. When I say secret meetings, he didn't have to go to Asa Hutchinson's home, or he didn't have to go to Nikki Haley's home, or didn't have to go to Biden's home. So why did you have to go to Mar-a-Lago to precede the public meeting? There's something funny about that. And this is, Mar-a-Lago is the place where people go to bow down. Speaker of the House McCarthy and so many others who have all made that trip to Mar-a-Lago. None of them went down there to raise hell. All of them went down there to kiss the ring of Donald Trump. And so therefore, one can see that there's something improper with our leader, our general president, making this trip to the headquarters of the Confederacy.
And the growth of racism in this country, a fascist movement growing, Trump's open racist attacks on blacks, on brown people, on immigrants, on Muslims. What does that say that the IBT would even consider endorsing somebody like that?
Well, I mean, the mere fact that we would even consider it, right, is an affront to all those other members who are not a party to this fascist movement that's taking place, this reemergence of the lost cause babies, right? So you have to wonder, I don't have to wonder, it actually sends a message to all the non-white, the women members of our union, that you really don't care anything about them, that you're worrying about what racist elements within our union think. So instead of trying to either A, convert those racist elements over to a newfound reality, or B, isolate them and just says, listen, you're here, you could leave when you feel like. But to really believe that we had to play with them at this moment in history is troubling, to say the least.
And John Palmer, as International Vice President, has said he was ordered to go to the meeting. That was the order from Sean O'Brien. He says he's not going. What do you think about the other executive vice presidents of the Teamsters? Should they go to that meeting with Trump?
Going for what? Those board members should have advised our general president that this was not an appropriate action to take, right? I am presuming that most of them are not business unionists and that they're trade unionists and movement people, that they would be offended, that the women that were on the board were offended, that the Latinos on the board were offended, that the blacks on the board were offended, and that they would have arranged some kind of a boycott of that meeting. And if they had to go, then they should go and ask serious questions and really be, I don't have to use the word disruptive, but constructively deconstructing the idea of the meeting.
And also there's the issue of discrimination inside the Teamsters International Union, firing of staff, black and brown staff.
Mm.
What do you think about that? And I mean, the union should be fighting racism, yet it seems like at the top they've allowed racial discrimination, had to pay millions of dollars from union funds for that.
Well, if you look at Teamsters Local 25, where there are no blacks working there at all, which strangely enough, in the turn of the century, 1905, in those era of time, you had blacks sitting on the executive board of Local 25. So Local 25 have come a long way and fallen behind. And so therefore, one could understand the outcome. The question is, why is there no outrage from those people on the E-board who are people of color? Why are they not speaking out? Why are they not offended? Why, when this happened, they didn't say, hold up, stop. Can't you see the racism that was being generated at the time? Can't you see the legal situation that the union was being put in when these actions were taken, and stand up and speak out? Or were you just concerned about whether or not you were going to have a check next week, or however often they pay them?
And the threat of Trump coming in, I know that you have said that we need a Labor Party, we need a working class political alternative. How is that going to come about? It seems like what President Biden doing now, supporting the genocide in Gaza, is turning off a lot of people to even vote for him in Michigan and many other places. Yeah.
Right. So one of the things about politics in America is it's complex. It's never this or that, so but Biden certainly seemed to be putting his reelection into the hands of Bibi Netanyahu, which seems to me like, are they all in a play together, which they all want Trump to be the president? Because just humanity alone, if you can't see this genocide that's taken place, and forget who started what and who went where, because there's long history and people are on other sides of it. But when you see, all right, so if you want to blame Hamas killed 1,500 people or thereabouts. How many Palestinians' lives have to be sacrificed for you to have equaled an eye for an eye, right? So we're at about 25,000 dead right now. And for President Biden to continue on this path and not call for a ceasefire, not call for an end to these hostilities, not call for an end to this destruction, could very well cost him the upcoming election.
But isn't Biden and the Democratic Party accomplices to the apartheid state of Israel? They send weapons, they send bombs.
Well, I think America
they believe that there should be a Jewish state. I mean, they don't they say they don't support a Christian state in the United States, but they want a Jewish state in Israel?
Right, but I think that's America. It's an American policy, right? It's not, didn't start with Biden and won't end there. This has been ongoing since, if I'm not mistaken, Truman or one of those guys back in that time. So we are a party as a country. We are a party. Our tax dollars are a party to an apartheid state. But it's not something that we should be surprised by, because we were a party to the apartheid state of South Africa. We were a party to what was happening in Rhodesia. In fact, if you just simply go back to the 40s, we were a party to not letting Jews into the country when they were under assault by Adolf Hitler. There was a ship that came to America that was turned back. So we have been a part of some horrendous things in our time.
And the ADL, the B'nai B'rith in the United States, opposed having demonstrations to allow the Jews to come to the United States during the that period to escape Nazi Germany. And actually, the Zionists invited Adolf Eichmann to go to Israel, or at that time it was Palestine, to get support of the Nazis for a Zionist state, a Jewish state. So it seems like there's a long history there. The danger of a coup, it's not going to go away. The danger of an insurrectionist who is openly for example, in Texas, they're saying fight the federal government. Let's have a civil war.
Yeah,
they're calling for a civil war. They're calling to go back to you tell them the Confederates. Yeah, they want to go back, way back.
No, they are Confederates. They want to refight this war that they lost back in the 1800s. But times are different now, right? So America, that being the United States versus the Confederate States, should that split occur, it means the end of whatever they ever dreamt of as a nation, right? So people need to be mindful that America is not going to survive the next civil war, right? Because the players around them are going to pick them apart, and they will suffer the consequences of what division brings.
And if we're facing a civil war, if we're facing a party that had voted millions of people voted for Donald Trump, there are maybe millions of people who think there needs to be a civil war. What is the working class? What are the unions doing to prepare for that war? Because it seems like in the case of the Teamsters, you've got a president of the Teamsters Union who's consorting and is actually helping give credibility to the leader of this person who's calling for a dictatorship, really, for executive rule.
Well, sometimes, the Trumpian mindset exists in numerous places, right? There's a Trumpian mindset exists in the church. It exists, in some diner someplace where the head cook has these attitudes. So it's not just for him. But one of the things that we cannot do as the working class, because we're the ones that are going to pay the ultimate toll in this struggle, is allow complacency. And we can't allow this idea that we can negotiate with the fascists. I mean, need we be reminded of a statement that came out at the end of World War II when a gentleman said, first they came for the communists, but I wasn't a communist, so I didn't care. And on to the different groups. And he didn't care until they came for him. And when they came for him, there was no one around to care. So we have to be very careful. America is, in spite of its warts and what have you, still a very dynamic country with a lot of life left in it, right? The question is whether or not we as the working class are going to join together, or are we going to allow the billionaire class to move in the direction that they want to move in? We have to be very clear that Trump didn't start this. This project was well underway by the Koch brothers and all these other billionaire groups that actually wanted to see this oligarchy, this authoritarian state come in. So this is not something, he just happened to be the one that popped up in the middle of it and took advantage of it before they could actually do it themselves. But he didn't create it. It had already been here. It is who we are. And the question is whether our better selves are going to defeat our worse selves.
Okay, well, I want to thank you very much. We've been talking with Chris Silvera of Teamster Local 808 in New York. So thanks for joining us on Work Week in Pacifica.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Appreciate you. All right, man.
Good. Take care.